Hello there, good evening. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast YouTube channel. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt, and as you can see on screen with me, of course, I'm joined by my bearded brother, my right hand man, my sidekick, my partner in crime, whatever you want to call him, is of course Paddy Boy. Be a bit later than normal and regularly scheduled for this breakdown of the Celtic 6 Aberdeen 0, but nonetheless, we get here and there's a lot to be talking about, Paddy. Of course, we'll now know who we're going to be facing in that final after today's turgid affair in the second semi-final. It is, of course, going to be our supposed oldest, but then if you look at them being the new variant, quite new rivals, of course, Rangers. We'll break down all the action in that fantastic performance. Paddy, firstly, how are you, my man? It's good to see you.
All good, mate. But I come down for last night. That was incredible. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, me and you were privileged to be there. Thanks to Harty again for donating his tickets to Celtic World Order so that we could go to Hampden and sit in the lovely wee padded seats, may I add.
Oh, yes, and with also a very nice view of VAR.
It was. I would have a wee view of the VAR screens and stuff as well. So anytime anything was getting checked, we're kind of leaning over the shoulders of the assistants having a wee check. But listen, absolutely fantastic performance, like you said, Steve. And do you know what? We don't need to worry who we're playing in the final, because if we perform like that against anybody, we're going to melt them.
Absolutely. Well, we will get round to all that action. I say plenty of positives to talk about. Still buzzing. I'm sure yourselves are watching us. But before we do that, the wee bit of housekeeping says welcome back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Just make sure that you hit the subscribe, hit the bell icon. Every time we go live, every time we do an upload, you'll get notified. You'll never miss any of our content. If you want to help us out further, you can. Like Big Grab, you can become a channel member. Doesn't get you any additional content. It's by way of donation to help support the run of the channel, because even though everything that we do is free and will continue to be free, putting it all together still costs us some money. You can connect with us elsewhere. We are on X at CWPod1888, and of course you can also catch up with us on the move wherever you are, no matter what time of day it is, and get us on Spotify as well. Just search for Celtic World Order. All these episodes will be uploaded in audio only format, and if TikTok's your bag, well, we're on there as well. Just search for Celtic World Order podcast. Plenty of ways for you to support the channel. So as we say, we've got that very exciting result to get back in, have a look at. Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0. Even the biggest optimist there is, including Positive Paddy. I think when we started the game, when I asked him for a prediction, he says it was going to be 4-0. I think halfway through the game, I actually turned around and says to you, Paddy, I think this will be a minimum of 6. You were beginning to pitch for a wee bit more. And I think when we look back on it, really, it probably could have been anything we wanted it to be if we went that wee bit further, if we stepped up through the gears, because I always felt that we still looked as if we had one, maybe 2 gears to go through if we really needed them. Such was the sheer control that we had and the lack of threat that they had. All in all, Paddy, plenty to get down with, but let's start off with that lineup, of course. And just a wee mention, the manager obviously brought this up. Now, this is twice that we've seen previous or, proposed lineups, which actually turned out to be fact, getting out there somehow, similar to the issue that we had under Lennon. There's this wee leak that's going out there, and people are starting to know the lineups. Now, as Ali had mentioned to the last time, we such were one of these people who were sent that. Of course, we do not share it out on our social medias, and we kept it to ourselves basically because I don't see the merit in it. It's kind of nice to know, like, oh, that's interesting, but I get what the manager's saying. It's not really something that we want to see, Paddy, is it? Particularly looking at these huge games and the potential repercussions, the result not going your way.
Yeah, listen, 100%. I get what you're saying. I got the team sent through to me, and I sent it to one of my friends, especially during the week there when there was a lot of changes in it. And he was telling me, that's not the team, it's never going to be that. And then when it come out that it was the team, he's like, right, who's sending the teams out, what's going on here? And I'm not going to say who was sending me the team, but someone obviously did send me the team. And then obviously I got the team on Friday night again for Saturday's game, and again turned out to be the correct squad. So I don't know where this is coming from in the team. And yeah, I do agree. It's nice to know it. It's nice to obviously get that kind of heads up, because you're always wondering who's going to be in the squad, what kind of game we're going to get. Yeah, it's nice to know. But listen, let's keep it indoors now. Let's keep it in-house and keep the opposition guessing. It's like you say, we've got a few big games coming up. Obviously, next game against Leipzig as well. That squad gets out, it could totally change the dynamic of the
disastrous. It can't happen, Paddy, as you say. Out of the sheer curiosity factor, we as fans look at you like that idea. Oh, that's quite interesting. As I say, but no, it's something that needs to be stopped. And I fully endorse what the manager was saying. Whoever it is, no matter where it is inside that squad or whether it's inside the staffing or something, it really needs to stop, because, as we say, we're riding the crest of the wave. Feel good factor is massive around Celtic at this moment in time. The performances are tremendous. The whole spirit, the ethos, everything around the club is majorly positive, and there's a real togetherness. And as much as people, I don't know what it is. Is it just peacocking? Is it just people wanting to say, oh, look at this, I know this? But it really is something that we need to sort of stamp out in it, because it services no one, and it really is to the detriment. But onto the actual squad, because that aside, let's shelf that. But the squad itself, Paddy, couple of changes, if you will. But the main one that sort of I'm sure that you would have been grateful to see was the Trusty, the Carter Vickers pairing, something that you've been championing for a long time. As we say, when we brought him in, it was a guy that we were like, he's clearly been brought in with that sort of price point to be the starter instead of Scales. And as I said yesterday, we done a wee sort of pop-up on X about this, talking about the game. I think it's maybe a wee bit unfortunate for Scales, much to, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's been fantastic. He's been a standout since he's made that jersey his own. But there's a sense of the inevitable coming around that this is perhaps the way it's going to be. We've seen it twice now. And of course, looking at that Leipzig game, it was a good game to get that sort of up and running, was it not?
Yeah, listen, Austin Trusty for me is a level above what Scales is. The partnership, you touched on it, mate, there, Paul. You get it. CCV and Trusty together, they look comfortable. They just look like they get each other. You go back to the Atalanta game, I still think that was the best performance we've seen for Trusty. And last night, the big guy, again, was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was brilliant. It gave Carter Vickers the chance to push forward a little bit more. The same way, even when Valle moved forward, Trusty stepped in at left back. And there seemed to be that movement that we all enjoy, that you want to see that. You want to see your players go, oh, wait a minute, there's a space in there, and then drop back in. So it was brilliant to see. The big guy's clearly got a footballing head, and it's all positive for here. If you've got a guy like Scales who can sit on the bench and bring him on, should anything happen, or should you want to rest some of your players, let's be honest, we'd take it, because Scales has been phenomenal this year. He's been brilliant.
No, it's a great position to be in, and it's always about building. It's about getting that quality, and I think we're starting to see the quality starting to come through with the guys that we've brought in. As we say, look, we've sat here, and in my opinion, wrongly, there's been a lot of sort of shade thrown at some of the guys that have come in: Austin Trusty, Engels, to an extent, even Ida, and particularly young Alex Valle. A lot of people were giving him a wee bit of flack, and like we always comment on things we say with our eyes rather than going with the sway massive opinion. And let's be totally honest, we know that when Austin Trusty was coming in, he was playing out of position. We were left-sided heavy at the back, and he was finding his feet. He's come for a team who were completely always under the cosh, on the back foot, very little of the ball, and even though you're a professional footballer, having to adapt to that style, getting more time on the ball, having to be more attack-minded, having to make quick reverses. You're so advanced up the park, but then all of a sudden you need your body back to do the job when required. These things it's teething. You need to get yourself in. But very much since the Atalanta game, that's him. That was his christening as a Celtic player. Came at the fore. Yeah. Been fantastic since, and I thought again yesterday it was absolutely tremendous in there. There's many guys in this squad that will get around to the performances yesterday, but if we look at it simply from the defensive standpoint, I think that pairing there between Carter Vickers, between Trusty, looks absolutely solid, and I'm very excited to see it moving forward and tougher tests, particularly looking at Europe, because as you says, there seems to be already a very quick rapport. They seem very compatible. You've got both have that sort of Carter Vickers edge, very physical, strong in the challenge, dominant. But what he also has, not that Carter Vickers was bad at it, he is a great range of passing as well. You see how quickly he can fire the ball, Trusty, into the midfield. Essentially doing what we see Scales try to do with decent success, but it's a level up. He's making it happen.
Scales has got a brilliant delivery. He really has. He's got an eye for that ball as well. There's been many games where we've seen Scales pop a ball 30, 40 yards straight in for either Kyogo or onto one of the wings. Just feel like Trusty brings you that wee bit extra. He's not quite got that 40-yard pass on him yet. We've not really seen that from him. But what we have seen is heading balls out the box, getting crosses away, which is something that we lacked. We conceded a hell of a lot of goals for set plays. I don't think that's going to happen a lot now. Touch wood, touch everything. I just think this guy, along with Carter Vickers in there, is going to get rid of a lot of these balls coming into the box. Look at that Atalanta game. What did we work out? Was it something like 34 crosses into the box they had or something?
Yep.
We dealt with every single one of them. And then even last night, Aberdeen were getting free kicks where before he'd have been sitting going, well, that's a dangerous one. No, not really.
And
these
that's
guys
the thing,
in there, it comes with a wee bit of confidence.
Yep, and that's the thing, Paddy. When we look back at the game, really, that's what Aberdeen were doing. That compared to when we played them at Celtic Park, they were a wee bit more expansive. But really, they were just resorting into crossing the ball in the box, and it was food and drink for the guys that were dealing with it. When we first spoke about Trusty coming to fore a wee bit and coming into it, we sort of says to ourselves, when you look at Starfelt and you say, is it perhaps a guy that once he's gone, you didn't realise what you've got? I do see a lot of Starfelt in him from that physicality standpoint, as you say, is that aerial dominance and winning headers and just basically sticking his head in and doing ball winning. But on the face of it, to me, it looks like a wee evolution on Starfelt. Scales looks like he can be an all-round sort of, man of many trades, master of none. Not being disrespectful about it, just a very good utilitarian sort of defensive guy who will give you his all because he's Celtic born and bred. But I think when you look at Trusty, he looks more like a complete footballer, and he has those attributes. So again, these are better headaches to have, isn't it? That we now look as if we've got three good, solid centre halves, and of course we've got guys like Nawrocki. Look, as what it is, the jury's out what's going to happen there. Guys like Welsh and stuff, but at least we'll get three guys solid that we can choose from. And then obviously we've got Alex Baye, we've got Greg Taylor. And when you look at it, and we've done the wee shift over, previously where you had Scales, you had CCV, and you also had Trust in the pitch, it gives you options. And again, come back to the defensive guys to talk about. I want to sing the praises of Alex Baye because I thought he was fantastic, mate. He was absolutely all over the pitch. And again, in terms of if you want a standout performance of really showing people, maybe proving a lot of people wrong, I thought that was a complete performance from him as a left back, the way that Celtic want to play. We were up in the stands, we were right in the centre line, we saw absolutely everything all over the pitch. Times it was right over the right hand side, he was filling in the centre back, he was joining up in the midfield, all action, great commitment. And I think one thing that we've always says is he's great going forward defensively, maybe lacking. Well, I tell you what, you can forget about that because anything that he had to do defensively, he mopped it up, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And he had the support of Maeda as well. There's a lot of talk in there what Maeda done going forward. And we'll touch on that, we really will. But what he does and what he gives the defender in that left-back position is invaluable because you know that he's going to bomb back. You know that he's going to cover every blade of grass to get back there and help you out. And that must fill you a little bit of confidence knowing that, if I go in and I miss this tackle, Dyson's going to be there anyway because he's just an absolute machine in that team. And for me, like you said, Vi covered quite a lot of ground. Like we'd seen at one point as well, out in the right wing, putting a ball in, and then I think Liam Scales was it dropped back in.
Yep.
At that point, wasn't it Scales? It was on. He dropped back into the kind of left back position. It was just brilliant for me, mate. Absolutely phenomenal performance by near on all of the players.
Oh, it was
brilliant.
fantastic.
Yeah. And the first 20 minutes. I want to touch on as well. The first kind of 20 minutes, I thought obviously were quite quiet, and we said that at the game as well. Army Engels, I think, took a wee while to warm up, but once he did get into the game, then we started seeing a lot more from him. I think his passing was a little bit off the first 20 kind of minutes or so. But then, listen, once we got into it, it was just, somebody said before in the comments there, champagne football. It was brilliant.
Yeah. The thing is while we said that, we'll get a couple of your points here while we want to bring in. Likewise, well, if you're watching us, plenty's watching, just get those opinions in. Who's your outstanding players? What was your favourite goal? How do you feel about the now? We're playing against Rangers in the final. It is what it is. I think that'll take care of itself, as we said yesterday. Let's know your thoughts on everything. We'll try and get up as many comments as we possibly can. But yeah, Paddy says we got that sort of back four where we had Johnson, again, another tremendous performance. A guy that has really came back to life in terms of, he's been getting a wee bit of lukewarm performances. People sort of saying maybe he lost his edge. No. The past 3 games, he has went from strength to strength to strength, and it's great to see these guys all coming back to their very best at the optimum time, particularly look at Leipzig come the turn of the week there. We want these guys to be on top of it, and defensively, we look very, very resolute. As for Kasper Schmeichel, man didn't have to do anything. We don't even need to mention him. Yeah. What Will mentions the midfielder, you touched on Arne Engels, and obviously, again, another guy, in my opinion, wrongly getting a wee bit of flack. Yes, he grew into the game, but another guy who here that is, I want to bring up Willie's point, is one of your favourites, Rio Hatate. He's a guy that has, and there's nothing wrong with saying it, he has been very lukewarm. He's been up, down, he's been cutting about a frustrated figure. He's not quite got himself ticking. I do agree with Willie's saying there. At the time when I first watched it, I wasn't massively over convinced. I thought, he's done an all right game. But in terms of what we expect out of Rio Hatate, having watched it back, absolutely, he did. It was a kind of coming back to what we expect from him. Was it peak Hatate? I don't think so. But is it a lot closer to what we want? Yes. And he's another guy that grew into the game for me, Paddy. I thought at the start, as you say, his first 20, 25 minutes, everybody was just a wee bit sort of slack, a wee bit going through the motions. But the important thing for me, particularly the midfielders, and I'm talking about Hatate, I'm talking about Engels here, is none of them were fazed by it. They didn't get the heads down. They didn't give in. It would have been easy to just say, I'm having a stinker. There's another misplaced pass, so I can't get hold of the ball. But they didn't. They kept trying. They kept going to well. They kept on doing the same things over and over and over until they got it right. And as far as Hatate goes, yes, every blade of grass, much like Maeda, was covered. Some of the backtracking that he was doing, last-ditch tackles, mucking in. You've been absolutely going about that. You didn't really say too much at the time because we were engrossed in the game, but as one of your personal favourites, I'm sure you'll be happy with what you saw for him.
Yeah, listen, I've sat on here and I've watched the comments come in and people slating him, and it's hard to defend him sometimes, and you kind of sit here and I think the guy has an outstanding talent, and I think he could be so much more for us. Last night we got to see a bit of that. We got to see, like you said, some of that standard was there. His hold-up play, incredible. He's so strong when he's on the ball. He's so strong when he's going into tackles. He just pushes people out of the way. He just shunts them out of the way, the kind of way that Rogic used to do. He's got that part in him. We compare him to Tom Rogic quite a lot. For me, he's not as silky as what Rogic was. He's not got that twinkle toes effect. He does have the eye for a pass, and he does have the strength that Rogic had. So I think it's just a matter of time before we start to see better performances, more consistent performances for Rio. And I think having somebody in there with him on a regular basis, like him and Arne, being the two stalwarts, and I'm not saying bench Bernardo and keep him there. I'm not saying that. I'd like to see a bit more stability in the middle of the park. Obviously, you've got to change things around. You've got so many good people in that position, but I'd like to see people getting time playing with each other and getting to know what it's all about. And for me, time will show.
The thing is, Paddy, in terms of look at the midfield, right, we've had this discussion when we spoke about the back four, didn't we? Because, we like to sort of try and keep that regular and keep relationships, similar so that people know what they're doing. But there's good room for smart rotation of these squad players. Looking at 3-0, we were 3-0 up and we were sitting at half time saying, let's just ring the changes, let's make it happen. Obviously, we did bring the changes on eventually, but this is a good position to be in, and that's exactly perfect utilisation of a squad. I do agree, and as we said before, I think it'll be horses for courses. It's a manager's got to find that fine balance, giving guys enough sufficient game time to keep them happy, but also get the best out of them so they're constantly ticking over. And no, I think we're in a really, really strong position with the backups we've got. Obviously, McCown couldn't because he cup tied, but with the likes of McCown sitting on the bench with Bernardo, they're interchangeable between Engels, between Hatate. And one thing that we've seen from the manager is, regardless of who you are, regardless of what your transfer fee is, you're not guaranteed anything. Look at Adam Ida. I sat on this podcast and says whenever he signed it, I thought in the fullness of time he would have been Rodgers' go-to guy, and he would overtake Kyogo as being that number one striker. It doesn't matter to him. Your value is your value. You're bought for that. You didn't ask to be had that price tag on you, but the manager sees you as being part of a squad, and he will use you when he wants to use you. There's no guarantees, and that's strong management, and that's what we need to see. And it's great to see the fact that we'll interchange these guys from match to match to match, and they're always, we say time and time again, like for like quality. There's no drop off now, and that is fantastic. In terms of Arne Engels, yeah, I think in terms of his game, I thought it was a wee bit slack. We were turning and saying to each other, lost the ball again there, mate. He's looking a bit slack. And then I think he actually went down. It was getting a wee bit roughed up. Aberdeen again, they were getting in, flying into tackles, snapping into tackles, quite aggressive. It was pretty clear that they knew that they weren't going to be able to outplay us. And it was maybe a case of trying to leave one on it. As I say, when I done the wee pop-up on X, I think that backfired because there was a lot of guys that were getting constantly snapped into. You had Hatate, you had Maeda, you had Engels, you had Vai, but they kept on bouncing back, and if anything, it just made them more resilient. So it actually went the complete opposite reaction to what they were looking for. But yeah, Engels, there was that point he went down, and I remember the two of us had a wee conversation. I says to you, do you think that's the actions of a guy that doesn't quite fancy it today?
Yeah.
How wrong was I? Because he bounced back, and I'd probably say from about 35 minutes on till went off the pitch, total transformation. The work great, and obviously we'll go on to it. There was particularly that down the right. There was him and Nicholas Kuhn. He was swamped in with about three guys. Lesser men would have just let the ball go and fell down. He didn't. He battled through them. He managed to snuff it through, poke it through to Kuhn and let him go and do his thing. That's what we need to see. And I think anybody that is maybe questioning the ability or the desire of some of these guys, as I say, Vi and, for example, Engels, have been proven wrong, because that was a complete performance. Everybody singing for the same hymn sheet there. And as I say, positive. What a way to come back against, let's face it, supposedly the second best team in our league at this moment in time. Swept aside, mate.
They were. That's it. And at one point you turned around, like you said, at half time, you says to me, Steve, well, this is lambs to the slaughter. And it was. It was men against boys. It was absolutely carnage. And it was a joy to watch. Like you said about that point with Engels as well, when he had the boys round about him, and he puts the ball through the boys' legs and then taps it through to Kuhn. Outstanding. Most players would have just crumbled at that point. So it was really, really nice to see. Again, you could touch on every single player. You could probably go over every player, and it's only going to be positive. It was just one of the nights, like they say there about the Dortmund thing, comparing Celtic to Aberdeen to the way we played against Dortmund, like we wanted us to do that to them. I think we kind of did. I think it was one of the nights where the 50-50 balls we won. We were first to every 50 ball. And then we just started pressing on. And the front three were absolutely magic. They were incredible. And it got to show, like coming into this final in, December now?
15th,
15th of December against the Rangers. They're not our rival, mate. Do you know what? They're really not. They're an entertainment. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Now, it's just been an absolute, pardon the French, shit show across the city. It's absolute chaos, and it's just a joy to watch. They're in absolute turmoil, and we're going out and battering the team that's second in the league 6-0 in a cup semi-final. And it just shows the different levels. So I'm extremely looking forward to that cup final, because it'll be men against boys again.
Well, that's the thing, Paddy. We spoke about this, and I sort of reflected on it after we done the game against Aberdeen at Parkhead, and it was easy to sit here and be quite reactionary. And hindsight, and you look back and you think, I maybe got that one wrong. And I looked at it and I thought, we're 2-0 up. We thought, absolutely cruising. They're going to get absolutely slaughtered here. Similar to some of the games that we've had. And again, on reflection of this game, the first sort of 20, 25 minutes, it wasn't that we were bad. It was just we didn't have that cutting edge. We look at it, it was wave upon wave upon wave of Celtic attack. It was just the fine details weren't happening. Like, for example, the ball comes in behind Maeda, is potential offside, doesn't get a connection. There's the other one, brilliant ball for McGregor. He doesn't commit. He doesn't go for the diving header or throw himself at it. The other one comes in. Maeda, Kyogo just bounces off him, spins out the pitch. Wee things like that. It's not for the will of trying. It just wasn't coming off. And I think when you look back at that game at Celtic Park, and when you plug your brain in and really analyse it, you go, they should have been slaughtered. And what happened yesterday should have happened at Celtic Park, and maybe it masked the reality of that match, because again, stats are stats and they're on paper and all that, but when you looked at that game, Celtic had the lion's share, similar to this yesterday, all over them. It just didn't happen. And the 2 goals that they got, yes, they had to take them, but it was faults completely of our own design. And all right, they had the ball in the back of the net, I get that, and we had a wee slight wobble. But the reality is, it maybe gave a false interpretation of where Aberdeen are at. And I think maybe for our benefit, because let's face it, they went into that game buoyant and full of the, full of the spunk and vigour. And we saw ourselves sitting there, fuck you, Celtic, we're going to win the league and all that stuff. Really sort of bravado, quickly extinguished. I mean, did we prove a point to them?
As the Green Brigade said, at least they've still got the Northern Lights.
Top banner.
Because they don't have anything else. We absolutely battered them. We put them back in their place. We showed them who is the best team in Scotland. And do you know what? I'd love to see them finish second. I still would. Rather them than the other mob. But listen, absolutely fantastic performance. And it's a long journey for Aberdeen. All the way down here to watch your team get gubbed 6-0 and then back up the road, isn't it? That bus journey must have been absolutely horrible.
Paddy, before we jump into the sort of some of the finer points of the game, obviously we just want to touch around what we were really sort of, gushing over. And I think everybody will say, as you saw the thumbnail, this match really was all about Dyson Maeda and Nicholas Kuhn. Apples or oranges, heads or tails, flip a coin. What do you want? What's your favourite? And for me, I thought that if the goal hadn't went in, the third goal for Maeda, I would have had Kuhn as my man of the match. But look, 3 goals at Hampden, and the impact beyond the goals, the work rate, the intensity, you've got to give it to Maeda. But these 2 guys have been our absolute shining light this season. The other guys have really been the driving. All right, we've been scoring from all over the pitch. It's been nice. But in terms of our real return to form and how we go about our business, these 2 guys have been the driving force of the night. These have been the guys that have really brought back as Neil Lennon said, the thunder to our game, because we were having issues, particularly last season with Rodgers, where for me it felt everything was a wee bit narrow. We didn't really have that outstanding levels of quality down the wings that we were getting. We're not getting in behind. We're not getting the supply. We're not getting the goals for those wingers. Kuhn wasn't making it happen at the time. Yang, Palmer faded, disappeared, and it was guys like Forrest coming back late on, and then a real turn to form that Maeda's kicked on from, that were pushing us on last season. I mean, Paddy, come on, talk to me about them. How do you split them? How do you split them, mate?
I know you touched on the man of the match performance thing there as well, and young Ryan that was at the game with us yesterday, who plays for Falkirk, by the way, absolutely incredible young talent. He says to me coming into half time, he says, "Who's your man of the match, Paddy, so far?" And I said, "You know what, we man, I probably couldn't pick." He says, "I don't know." And then about 60 minutes in, he says again, he says, "Who's your ex-man of the match?" I said, "Honestly, man, I couldn't pick." And then it got to the stage where he goes, "If Dyson gets a hat-trick, will he be man of the match?" And I went, "You can't not give him it." But for me at that point, like you said, Kuhn was incredible. Up and down that wing, everything he touched was gold. At the minute, he's the man with the Midas touch. He just seems absolutely out of this world. Dyson, the resurgence in him has been incredible. The change of player, he's got a touch, he's got a finish, things like that. We've seen the pre-season stuff, and you kind of laughed and we joked about it when he's grown his hair. That's it. He's like Samsung.
No hair, no flair, mate.
No hair, no flair. He's grown that hair now. He's like Samsung. He's in there and he's a winner now, and he seems to be doing the job. But yeah, the difference in these two players is absolutely frightening for last year. And I think the pre-season was the first time when we kind of looked at them both and went, yeah, this is going to cause chaos in the SPL. This is going to be the big time. And I think it's came that way. It's absolutely shown us.
Oh.
And for me, yeah, you had to give the man of the match to Dyson because, like I said, the 3 goals, and he did cover every blade of grass in there. He was up front, he was defending, he was absolutely everywhere. There's only one guy in the 86th minute that's going to be bombing it back 80 yards to make a tackle on the edge of his box, and it's Maeda. You know he's going to do it, you know he's got it in him. He's like Duracell money, and he just keeps going and going and going and going.
Well, you know, Paddy, I was having a look at this here, right? And I wanted to check because I saw it on the BBC and I was actually surprised. That's what I was looking at there, just to clarify that I was right with that. In terms of the impact these guys have had so far this season, Maeda's got 9 goals and 3 assists, mate. 9 goals and 3 assists. Kuhn, 7 and 10. Yeah. You know, that's showing you, we were talking about whenever we, don't look back and all that, but when we took Abada out of the team, we took Jota out of the team, we never really felt that we had replaced that intensity, that energy for both goals and supply and creativity. These 2 guys, I says, they're kicking on, they're making it happen, and they are stalwarts. And some of the comments are coming in that I've starred, and it just begs questions before and before again. We're talking about this like for like quality. Listen, I'm happy to depend on these guys. I am happy, but the commenters are coming in, they're saying, where does this leave Yang and Palmer? Where does this leave Yang and Palmer? You know, for me, they can go. For me, they're going to get left behind. Yeah. Paddy, we were sitting there joking, saying, bring them on at half-time.
You don't have a chance.
Even cruising, still couldn't happen.
Yeah. No, listen, that's it. And you know, you're touching on the Abada and the Jota thing for before. It'd be interesting to know in the comments, who would you rather have, Abada and Jota or Kuhn and Maeda? Listen, both been absolutely phenomenal teams for us. They've both been excellent, but yeah, for me, it's got to be the team that we've got just now, because they're just pushing and pushing and pushing, and they keep going. It's amazing. I'm going to tell everybody that it was Palmer that's releasing the squad, and hopefully get him the bullet. For me, listen,
you're cruel.
He's like a poor man's Mikey Johnson. He's just not doing it for me. But you know what? No negatives tonight. We're just off the back of a 6-0 performance. And we could have played anybody at half-time. We could have just fired on the young boys and give them a chance. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. So nice to see.
No, absolutely perfect performance. But let's get back to some of that action in Paddy. So as we say, the first sort of 20 minutes or so, it's a wee bit stuffy. As we say, that's, you know, it's lack of cutting edge, not lack of quality. We're doing the right things. Yes, the midfielders, you know, we touched on them. Cal McGregor, I would say, largely flawless in the game. You know, back in the team, making things happen. He looked as if he had all the space in the world he wanted in that pitch there. But for me, the attentions were going to be on Hatate, they were going to be on Engels, because this is, for me as a fan, looking at, these are the guys that I wanted to see a marked improvement in. And as we've mentioned before, some of the comments are moving up. What a return to the energy levels, the commitment levels from Hatate. As we always know with Hatate, and this isn't a criticism, it's a factual observation, we know that everything that he does, Hatate will never have, in my opinion, a flawless game. He just won't have one, because that's not the type of player that he is. He's an exciting player. I would describe him as an explosive player, full of energy. Will he lose the ball quite a lot? Yes, he will. Will he misplace passes? Yes, he will. And why is that? Because he's going to take the risks. He's going to go for the Hollywood. He's going to do things like that. It's high risk for high reward. Now, I understand, and I've came on here and says that that's the kind of thing you maybe want to try and cut out, because better teams, tougher opposition will exploit it. Yes. But at the same time, you know, you've got to let people who are an artist express themselves. and it will come with faults. It's never going to be perfect. See, as long as they're doing the groundwork to make up for any mistakes they do, I am more than satisfied with that. And how many times, Paddy, did we see that from him, where he maybe did lose the ball and somebody would break away from him, but he was sprinting behind them, he was tracking them down and winning the ball back, making amends. And I think that for me was the big turning point and really showing that he's getting back to where he wants to be, because previously in the times we've come on throughout sort of this season, sometimes where there's been sort of not negatives, but it could do better's opinions on Hatate, it's almost because he's lost the ball but not done anything about it. Same kind of thing that we get on about Palma with, where it's, if you lose the ball, at least show the effort and the determination to win it back and show the commitment. Flawless from him. And by the end of that game, he was dead in his feet. That was the amount of energy he put into it. And I really, really think that for me, fantastic. Good to see him kicking on. And particularly when we look at a game against Leipzig coming up, that's the kind of form that we want to see him in, because everybody, if he's going to be one of the guys that are starting in that match, that's the level of commitment that you're going to need. You're going to be up against a fitter, faster, stronger opposition. And it's perfect sort of, training match, if you will, because it did feel like a training match at the end, but perfect preparations, and somewhere with Engels as well. Same deal with him. Yeah, things were happening, losing the ball, but didn't get the head down. And that was the real thing for the first 20 minutes. It wasn't lack of quality. It was just fine-tuning. The wee things weren't happening there. And we get the goal eventually. It comes by way off corner. And there we go. It's Arne Engels, bit of a set-piece expert, as we say, as we bring him in. Great delivery in the box. Great free kick delivery. And it's a fantastic ball in the back post. And big Carter Vickers scores for a header. Mate, scoring for set pieces. Doesn't get any better than that, does it?
That's it. It's been a long time coming as well. A lot of last year we were doing this short corner, and we've seen it there even as well. Last night we've seen a few short corners and stuff. Last year with Matt O'Reilly in there who could deliver a mean set piece as well, and we never really exploited it much. But I think when Arne Engels has come in, he's kind of taken that mantle himself, and I think he must have a bit of a say in it, because he's putting balls into the box. We're still doing the wee short ones here and there, but like you said, we're getting the balls into the box, and we've got these guys in there. Liam Scales has got an end of a few corners as well. And now we've got Carter Vickers in there, Trusty in there. Trusty looks like a big nuisance in the box as well, because he's just pushing folk about.
Yeah.
He's a big unit of a boy, so I'm expecting a few goals for defenders this year. Get your money on it, guys. Get a wee side hustle going here, a couple of quid in each defender every game, and we'll see who's up at the end of the season. I'm quite excited to see how many we get, because like that, it's something that we've not had in previous years, is kind of goals for defenders. Carter Vickers did score one last year, was it against St Johnstone, when he cracked it for outside the box. But yeah, it's good to see us starting to get some goals for set pieces.
Well, we get it, and do you know what I found? Oh, do you know what? Here's the thing, and I was getting this sort of take from, as I says, I had a friend that was in the other opposing side, as an Aberdeen supporter, and I spoke to him about the game. He says, was there a foul for Carter Vickers' goal? And I seen this, and apparently they were, suspecting that he climbed on him. But what I found really strange about that was, we're talking about playing with our game and setting up. When you watch that back, Aberdeen put all their tall guys at the front post for whatever stupid reason. You had all the small guys at the back post, where you had Trusty, where you had Carter Vickers. So him towering over the top and powering home a header, it probably is going to look he's climbing over the top of you, but he's not. Nothing in it at all. But header goes in. It's a powerful header, great header. And it's exactly, it felt up to that point that it just is maybe the most likely chance that we were going to score for. Because, as I said, when we were trying to get the ball down and behind and on the feet, it just wasn't coming off. So it was good to see that we were able to convert a set-piece opportunity. And I think for that point, as soon as the goal goes in, it really, really settles us in. And then we'll talk about settles in, mate. It's literally, 3-4 minutes later, that's when we get the next goal for Kyogo. It's the work rate for Maeda. He gets himself down, square ball. Good finish, mate, or good finish, or I see your face, or was it a wee bit of a fortunate because I actually went, I can't believe you nearly missed that. He
Yeah,
raises it high, Kyogo smacks it in off the bar. When you watch it back, it looks a cracker with comprehensive powers at home. But good to see him getting on the score sheet. But maybe I don't know. I think he maybe chopped it a wee bit.
Kyogo needed that. He did. He needed that goal yesterday. The work rate for Dyson and the build up to that goal, him bombing away for the defender, getting in on the keeper. I don't know why the keepers come out. I'd love to hear the commentary. Maybe be one of the ones again, giving it what's the goalie doing, Tam. He kind of gets there and he's backed in towards the keeper, slows it down, and then just passes the ball into Kyogo. Like you said, he looked quite nonchalant about it, as if easy enough. I meant to do that,
Oh,
but
man, not.
yeah, we had our hearts in our mouth. We thought he'd ballooned it, but what a finish! The bit he's put it in there where nobody's getting it. I think it was 3 defenders back on the line at that point as well. I think they'd all kind of made it back, but outstanding finish. Like you said, 2-0 going in at half time. I thought, 2-0, I'd be quite happy with that.
Well, I
Give me
think it was
more.
Paddy 2-0. Do we get another one just before half time? He's literally minutes later. We get that sort of third. It's Kuhn ball in as well. And it's for Maeda again. We touch on the fact that early on, he knew that he was sort of non committal. But let's talk about the work rate. Hatati in, works it. Kuhn, it's a ghosting wee pass, a complete defence splitter, reverse pass, slides it through. But let's talk about Maeda because sometimes people, always focus on the work rate and as we say, he's a guy that's really developed his game. And let's not forget when he came to us as like the equivalent of the J League's Golden Boot winner as an out and out striker. And we actually got to see some of that proper striker's instinct because he actually comes over the blindsided shoulder of the Aberdeen defender, comes round the opposite end, sweeps round in front of him, and he just lifts it into the net. Brilliant ball from Kuhn first and foremost, but fantastic movement. Similar, see if that was the kind of thing that Kyogo done, we'd be saying, that's the thing that you get for you, Kyogo. That movement, that intelligence. Maeda's doing it and nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, the passing, the movement, the tempo. That's what it was. It was one of them. That pass from Maeda was absolutely fantastic. Sorry for Kuhn, and it was Maeda. What a pass! I mean, he looks up and he's put it in front of the defender, knowing fine well that Dyson's going to come bombing round the back of him. And the defender's not got a clue. He's nowhere to be seen. It was absolutely fantastic. And to just see that power, that intensity, that's what you need. You're 2-0 up. You're kind of coming into the half-time period and you're busting in with a goal like that. That just, to me, demoralised Aberdeen.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll quote me on it. You can thing me on this, Steve-O. At that point, we glanced across to the Aberdeen fans and we could see them sneaking out.
There was people leaving. It was insane. And again, coming back to this, and this is something I want to bring up. Again, speaking of that mate that was on the other end, I was slating him for it. He says, and I turned and says to my dad, see if this goes 4-0, we're going. Because we've got stuff to go, we've got stuff to do, we're going. He says, we're not sitting for this. And that was what he says to me. And I found that quite surprising because I don't know if you've seen this narrative. Let me know if yourselves in the comments if you've seen this. There's this fallacy, this narrative going about that we Celtic fans who were monopolising the majority of that stadium are terrible fans and that we make no noise until we score goals. And that despite getting absolutely hammered, and they were we turned around and says fair play, what Aberdeen fans still singing at the end. And somehow that was a great display of their true fan identity and that we are nothing. And I had this again off my mate, and I says, mate, I don't know if it was just because there were so little of you, I says, but from where I was, the noise that was coming out the boys in the Green Brigade section was continually racket, non-stop. I says, yeah, there was like wee lulls in the game, I says, but it wasn't like you were drowning us out. And I found that very strange from a support fan base that were leaving their droves at half-time, mate, eh?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Listen, the Green Brigade were absolutely fantastic. Their flare show at the start, it might have delayed the game a little bit and kind of pissed a few folk off, but do you know what? It was class. And I don't know if you've seen the drone footage of it. There's drone footage kicking about on Twitter. absolutely incredible. What a show.
Yep.
Singing wise, like you said, they drowned out the Aberdeen Ultras left, right, and centre. At one point, they were even singing "Merry Christmas, everyone." It was just brilliant. Absolutely amazing.
It was lively, but it's going to be 3-0 as we say. And let's not play this down. We've been looking for, see, particularly after, and I hate to trade it up, but after Dortmund, after Ross County, after Aberdeen, after those 3 performances where things looked a wee bit disjointed, that is exactly what we needed. We needed Motherwell. We needed that. And then again, that's us now finding ourselves going to the next European game with the performance against Atalanta, fantastic. With the performance against Motherwell, with the performance against Aberdeen, who are, as we say, our closest rivals. They are the best of the rest in Scotland at this moment in time. Very positive results to begin into a massive European game. All I hope for is that we take some of what we've learned from the Atalanta approach, even though we're at Celtic Park, even though we're at home, we're playing a team that's second in the Bundesliga, that we take a wee mixture of that and we get the result that deserves, because it's kind of like we were prior to Dortmund. We've had some great results, really kicking on, finding our feet. Optimism will be high. I just want to make sure that we get the formula right, get into that game. But 3-0 at half-time, mate, we done the wee sort of live pop-up. We're saying, let's get some bodies off. Were you surprised when we came back out that there was no changes? I'm just saying with one eye on that other game, because look, we saw it with our own eyes. Aberdeen were never coming back in this game again. There was going to be no repeat of what happened at Celtic Park. It just simply wasn't happening. They had no attempts at our goal in the first half. Goalkeeper had nothing to do. We were barely challenged, and they'd resorted to, as we say, hard man tactics, snap into tackles. Yellow cards were getting given out like confetti, and as we saw, you had plastic hard man Graham Shinney running about and giving wee off the ball knocks to Hatate, wee tussles with him, wee tussles with Engels. Yeah. That is what they had resorted to. So for me, seeing the way that was going, I wanted that early rotation because I thought there was an injury in the post.
Yeah, listen, rotation would have been good, but I think Brendan's thinking was just get the job done, keep the players on and stick to his kind of 60-minute mark. And listen, who are we to question the man? Fantastic. Didn't make the changes straight away, waited on it, and then, in my opinion, brought them on at the right time. He spoke about the yellow cards there as well. We can even have a wee laugh at Brendan's, with his Gucci sliders on.
I believe it was Tom Ford's, mate.
Tom Ford's, he did come out and say that Tom Ford's will make it much script. Yeah. That'll be another couple of pairs in the post for him, won't it? He kicks the ball away, falls on his foot.
I want to know, what was that yellow card exactly for? What was the deal with that?
Kicking the ball away. I watched it back. Obviously, at the game, we just kind of seen him on his arse and then turning around and kind of going, "Hey!" to us, and we've all cheered him. And then the ref comes over and gives him the yellow card. It's basically the ball's come out of the park and he's booted it away. That's what the yellow card was for. So, listen, fair play. You take it. It gave us a wee bit of banter.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've come out, as we say, no change. I was quite surprised looking for it. Eventually, we do ring the changes. We see, Bernardo comes on. As we say, we get Scales, we get Forrest, we get Ida. Wholesale, we get many changes going on, and in due course, that's what we needed. We didn't see Yang, we didn't see Palma. Again, the commenters saying maybe that tells you where they're potentially being at, but that's another one for another story. But the game, I thought it was a better start to the second half. First half, we took, as we say, 20-25 minutes to really find our feet. It would have been easy for us to come out, just settle down and just go about our business and, pass it about and not really look with any level of intensity. I felt that we came out and we looked a lot sharper. And as we touched on earlier when we were speaking about guys like the work rate and the transformation, talking about growing into the game, that's when you saw, for me, the better half of Hatate and Engels. I felt that they shone more in the second half than they had in the first. They were steady in the first half. They took time to grow into it. But the second half, for me, I felt that they were far, far superior. And of course, we talked about the fourth goal. Let's just touch on it. And that was epitomised the comeback, if you will, of Engels in that match. The fighting, he was finding himself, he was crossing over left and right again, he was marauding around the pitch, but he was getting the tackles, he was putting himself about, and he was doing the dirty work, and it was a great wee bit. I said, we touched on it earlier, he swamped 2-3 guys out in that touchline, just, it was so near the touchline, to not even lose the ball for it to go out alone was impressive, but he kept his feet, fought through, pokes it through. Nicholas Kuhn runs through, he does get his goal eventually. That deserved a goal, did it not? Picks up near enough the halfway line, charges into the box. Maybe should they lift it over the goalkeeper? Quite possibly. It's safe through, but it doesn't matter because Maeda's there, mate, at that back post. They sweep it home. 4-0, 2 for Maeda. The Maeda and Kuhn impact is imminent there. You see it in full swing. Single-handedly picked that team aside, mate.
Yeah, outstanding. Like you said, the play between Engels and Kuhn on that wing was absolutely fantastic. The passing between the two of them was nothing short of outstanding. And when he gets in, like you said, you can expect him just to bend it right in the top corner there. And he does kind of get a decent bit of contact on it. And it's a decent enough save, but yeah, who's there jogging on the spot waiting on it? He's wee Maeda, he's standing there, loves the space. He absolutely adores having all of that space out on the left-hand side. And yeah, he's there, he's waiting on the ball. He probably run past it and had to come back for it. But yeah.
I've highlighted this here just to revert back to we're talking about the booking for Brendan Rodgers. This is actually true. I meant to say that was brought up to me. You saw before he went down, he was actually, I think he was a few minutes on Hatate had done, and he went to boot the ball, and somebody gathered it up. This is what happened here again. There was a wee bit, he wasn't quite happy, he was gesticulating, if you will, on the touchline, and the ball came to him and he went to boot it in a wee bit of anger, and he obviously went in his hole. As he says, they don't make Tom Fords with studs, and some smart cracker went and found these shoes, and apparently they're about 1900 brick. He's a show off bastard, isn't he? But you've got to give him his shoes. But Maeda didn't need any loafers. He could have played in slippers in that game, mate. He was all over the place. Fantastic. 2 goals, killer instinct at the back post. And look, we spoke about the requirement for our strikers. Kyogo gets his goal, which is good, can only do him a wee bit of positive. But we spoke about wanting more from our strikers.
Yeah.
It's fortunate though, isn't it? It's a great position to be in that we've got guys like Maeda really adding goals to his game. Maeda and Kuhn, as we say, and goals come from all over the pitch. But at that point, 2 goals for him, absolutely flying. And then, of course, minutes later, the intensity just keeps on going. We're picking up waves upon waves of 5 minutes, 7 minutes or something later on. Nicholas Kuhn does get that goal, mate. And I'll let you cover it. What a goal, eh? What a goal.
Listen, it's a goal that we've seen for him so many times. He just gets to that corner of the box and just bends it every single time. It comes in there and he's got the ability just to put it in. I love the comment there that Kaiser said as well about the permagrips for Timson's 1999. Absolutely brilliant. I've seen one on Twitter. I can't mind who it was that shared. I think it was Big Paul the Tim had shared that. It was absolutely class. That commentary in the background there. But onto the goal, yeah. Listen, that goal for Kuhn, you could go back and look at maybe 5 of his goals and they probably came for the same position. Mm-hmm. He just always seems to get it bent right round the keeper, right into that post. I think this one actually clips the post on the way in as well. And listen, there's no keeper saving that. It's absolutely fantastic. And listen, it was probably one of the most deserved goals in that game.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute topper. And that's the thing, is he's deserved that goal. It was really the cherry on top for his performance.
Yeah,
he could have had 1 or 2 more, absolutely, but it was more than he deserved, as he says. And obviously, by this point, we've got 2 goals for Maeda. When that one goes in, that's when we started having the discussion, who's the man of the match here? And I felt I was like, split them, toss a coin. Fantastic. In terms of substitutions came on, I thought that when they come on, we're cruising, but we don't see any real drop-off. Jamesy Forrest, I thought, was a real live wire when he comes on.
Yeah.
He's doing the right things. good intensity, trying to get himself in. And what I liked about him as well is there was real intensity the way that he knocks the ball about. See, when you watch him, pardon me, when you watch him, it's a different proposition for what you're getting from Kuhn or Maeda. They're very, very direct, and we see that from Forrest. We've said that he has an energy and he can run at it. But what I like as well that the other two maybe don't do is sees passes into midfield. It's a real intensity, fires them in. Whereas usually Kuhn or Maeda look for a wee quick pass in because they're then running and looking for the 1-2. But he's more, he plays balls more like the way a Cal McGregor would, where he just zips them in with real power. But, he's picking up the ball, and rather than just a wee nonchalant pass in and then run on looking for it, he's trying to instigate that intensity. He's firing them in, and really, really good for him. Same way we get Bernardo coming in, great ball carrier, as we described him as a wee mountain goat, low centre of gravity. He manages to get himself around the park and moves it around. It's just different propositions to the guys that we bring off. No drop in intensity, as he says, and Aberdeen are still chasing shadows at this point. I think, what was it, maybe about 70 minutes to get their actual first, I suppose you could call it, chance at goal. I think it's the boy Sokler. He gets the header to nothing. But up to that point, Paddy, there's just nothing.
Yeah, listen, it was Hampden spot, like you said, Steve. James A. Forrest, you said it there, and Bernardo, when they come on, it just gives you it's almost a different team. It's different. I don't know how you would talk about it, but Aberdeen are obviously used to us having Kuhn chasing for the byline and having Hatate in there doing what he does. Bernardo's a totally different player to Hatate, and then, like you said, Forrest's a total different animal for Kuhn. He's got so much. He's got bags and bags of experience in there. Not a stranger to go for the byline. He can put in a decent cross. Can also cut inside, have a shot. You just never know what James is going to do, and he can do it for both sides as well, which is absolutely incredible. It's what you need in there. And as an impact sub coming on, for me, James Forrest has secured that spot for himself.
Yeah,
like you said earlier, he never ever lets you down. And that shot, you know what you're going to get from him. He's Celtic through and through. He's shown that year after year after year after year under countless managers, and that just goes testament to what this guy is. He's an absolute icon in that Celtic team. I'm not going to use the legend word. He's not a legend in my eyes yet, but he is a Celtic icon.
Well, let's finish it off, cap it off, 6 goals. Also, we'll get Ida on this point. I felt a wee bit sorry for the big man. Loads of running about, loads of intensity. We just weren't quite getting into him. It is what it is. Doesn't matter. But as we say, the goals are still coming, and there's 1 goal coming, and it's a kind of class goal. AJ, we get Bernardo. There's that wee cheeky back heel. Like, it's, back heel, crossover to AJ. Who's at the back post? Same position again. Maeda sweeps it in. 3-0. Dean buried. The proverbial body bags are getting wheeled out on the pitch for Aberdeen. They're absolutely done. 6 goals, mate. It was just perfect. There was a wee bit of a lull between the 5th goal and the 6th goal. I wouldn't say that it was low in quality or anything like that. It was just, we knew that we were cruising. We were literally just in cruise control. If we really wanted to lift it, as I said earlier, I felt like we had gears to go through. We didn't need to do it. I think by that point we knew, 5-0, we are cruising. Let's not overexert ourselves. Probably one eye ahead, as we say, is looking at that game against Leipzig. It was the smart thing. It was game maintenance. It was management of the game. It was not overly exerting yourself, putting too much on the line at risk of maybe, pulling a hamstring or an injury or anything like that. Good game management, but 6th goal came a combination of maybe Aberdeen being completely tired and, of course, just a quality build-up to that goal, mate.
The build-up in it is what I was going to talk about there, Steve. Well, I'm not sure how many passes there was, but I think it was a few.
I think it was at 31, I was told.
It was 31. That's
I'm pretty sure it was that goal. It was 31, roughly about 30, 31. It was all over. It started far deep down the left. We work around. Go and seek it out. It is on X, of course. Somebody counted it. I'm pretty sure it was that goal. It was about 30 passes. Fantastic.
Absolutely phenomenal. Listen, that's what you want. We talk about the Brendan Rodgers keep ball way and stuff, and playing the ball side to side and waiting for the opposition to open up. And at 5-0 up, we were still doing that. We were hunting in packs, waiting for that opportunity, waiting for that chance, waiting for a wee opening so that we could put the ball through to one of our playmakers, one of our guys that are going to make a difference. And do you know what? 31 passes it's took, and the ball gets put out, and like you said, straight across, and who's standing there waiting on it but none other than Dyson again, just to tuck it away. Phenomenal. Absolutely outstanding. And a 6-0 victory over the Sheep at Hampden in a semi-final. Wow.
Well, as you say, Paddy, puns completely intended. People talk about the Sheep, but it was more like lambs. It was lambs to the slaughter, men against boys, and all the other cliches that you want to come away with. I think it really was a stark reminder to everybody of what we are, and that we are the benchmark in Scottish football. I think there was a lot of perceived wrongs that were put right by us. And as he says, in terms of laying down a marker, it'll strike the fear. I say that here, I'll strike the fear of God into people looking at us in the league, but also whoever it's going to be that we're going to get in the final. Of course, we now know that it's going to be Rangers, whatever. I'm not being flippant. I genuinely didn't care who it was going to be in the final. I would have liked Rangers to get beat. Of course I would, because I've liked the misery to kick in early. But I'll still take it. And I think I'll be honest, I'm no shame in saying it. I sat and watched some of their games today, and I thought they were absolutely rank rotten.
Do you know what I mean? By them winning today, that's literally just papering over the cracks.
Yep.
And I'll say it now: Lions do not concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. Yep. We will do their job. It's their chance to chase us. You want to win the league? Chase us. Because, listen, we'll do that to them again this season.
And this is the thing. I think it is indicative of the way that we play. I think it shows what we've got, and that what happened at Celtic Park was we bumped the road. It wasn't the worst result for us. And as I said before, I think that a combination of us just being that good, that result was us, a combination of factors. One, us just simply being that good and that many, many levels above them. Secondly, it was my point where I was asked the question. I says, do you think that they are serious title contenders? I says, well, the fact that they're 9 points ahead of Rangers, they are in second, even only a goal difference from ourselves. Yes, you've got to give them their flowers, and you've got to say they are title contenders because they are the nearest ones to you. But as I says, they had 3 games in the best bit of a week. They're going to well with the same players. Why? Because they don't have the same squad depth and quality that Celtic have got, and this will be what will be the undoing of them. File under, as I say, George Burley's Hearts. You'll start like a house on fire, but you don't have the resources. That's no disrespect to them. They don't have the quality. They've got quality players, but they don't have, quality upon top of quality to choose from. And they have got a good manager, they've got a good setup, but they just don't have the resources, and they will dwindle. Now, fortunately for them, from a league perspective, do I think they can go the course, the course and finish second? Yes. Why do I think that? Well, they're 9 points ahead of Rangers, so at this moment in time, what they need to lose 3 games, maybe 4 games. Well, guess what? Rangers are that garbage. They're going to lose points anyway. They're going to lose 3 times to us, so it'll just even itself out. That's my point. That's why I think they'll finish second, but they're not going to win anything other than that. Could they still be in the equation for the Scottish Cup? Of course they could. Look, it's a knockout game. Of course it could. But if it's similar where they're playing 3 games in a week and their cup game happens to be the 3rd game against us, for example, again, they'll fall flat on their face once again. Why? Because they don't have the resources. That's no disrespect. That's just facts, mate. That's just facts.
We spoke about this before, and if you go back to the start that we had last season as well, and coming into the transfer window, what we were looking for, me and you on this podcast, Steve, were sitting there and going, right, if we take off Scales, who are we bringing on? We don't have a other in there. We don't have somebody that's got that quality. If we take off Kyogo, we had Maeda in there, but we weren't sure if we were going to sign him again, whether he was going to be in. The same in the middle of the park. We didn't have this like-for-like quality, and we were screaming for it, and that's what kind of made us struggle a little bit kind of through last season. Obviously, yes, we came well at the end. We done what we had to do. We got it across the line. But coming in now, we're taking off guys like Hatate, Bernardo, bringing on Engels or taking off Engels and bringing on one of them. You got Luke McCowan in there, another outstanding young talent. Adamida, Kyogo. We've got like for like in every position. Liam Scales isn't even starting now. We've got Trusty and CCV in there.
Yep.
So it just shows you the levels that we've went up.
With the quality, Paddy, and I want to bring this up, okay? Van Helsing says we should be looking for a winger, centre forward, a right back and a left back in the next window right now. Obviously, we know that Bai is there on loan. I would say that if we like what we're seeing so far, if that kicks on come January, we really need to start a business early and go and ask that question. As I said yesterday when I done the pop-up, the positive chat around him has been coming into Spanish media about how well Celtic are looking after him, how they've helped him settle, how they're helping his development, what they're doing for him. That's obviously come from inside his camp, so that's positive. That, good words about what's happening at Celtic with him are getting over to his homeland. See if that is, shown an indication of how happy and satisfied he is at Celtic and how he's enjoying it. Get in there early and make him an offer. Try and get him in. None of this running about. None of this that we've done with Ida. None of this we've done with Engels, leaving it until we've sold guys or we're looking for guys and then we're paying over the odds. Get in there early. I agree with that. But do you agree? We were talking about the quality, and this is no disrespect. This is us now just brainstorming and chatting about. Fantastic result. Bring it on. Bring on Leipzig. Let's kick it on. I think we're going to go on. I think we'll win the Premier League Cup, no bother. I think we'll take care of the league. And as I said yesterday, I'm going to put my neck out in the line. If Celtic win the Premier Sports Cup, treble's happening as far as I'm concerned. I don't see it not happening, right? I'll die in that hill and I'll hold my hands up if it didn't happen. I don't care. But I can't see anything other than that. But the reality is, we do have quality. We've got like for like all over the pitch. But we need to come back to it. People are saying wingers. Palma and Yang, we sat and said at half time, should we bring them on? Palma, the last game, we spoke about him. And don't want to turn this into a negative. I'm just bringing it on. I thought he showed a bit more, which was positive. It's a small step. Hopefully it'll kick on and it'll go more. For me, unfortunately, I think Yang is a failed experiment. File under Kwon, file under Idaguchi, file under O. I think that he's probably somebody that we should look to try and move on in some capacity, maybe even get him out on loan or whatever. Palma, there's a certain price tag in there. I think for me, I would look to try and loan him out, probably back to somewhere, maybe like South America, because look at what's happening with Bernabe. He's over there. Maybe it's a cultural thing, maybe it's an environment, maybe it's an expectation thing, but Bernabe's thriving to where we're apparently looking for about 5 million for him. Now, where we get that or not, it's a completely different story. But we need to be making room for more quality. And I think that if we look at the guys that we were potentially linked with, Matthias Bogus, if that's genuine as a winger option, well, I would much rather have him sitting there than Yang or Palma. If Vi is going to be somebody, get him in,
100%. We spoke about this before. The Celtic jersey is heavy, and we've seen it with so many players over the period of our lifetime watching them. And you see these players, not project players, but just kind of players that just travel the game and just do what they do. And Mikey Johnson, we keep saying about him, Mikey isn't a bad player, but Celtic was too big a club for him, and we've seen that. And we've seen it with so many youth guys as well. We actually had Rudy Vata on here, and we're talking to Rudy about his son, Rocco. And Rocco, for me, could have made that difference. Rocco could have broke into that squad if he was given the correct training, if he was given the correct pathway. And I just felt like they didn't have it. So if you're not going to give the youth guys this pathway, then at least go out and buy players who aren't going to fold under the pressure of the jersey. And guys like Bogus, like you said, Bogus was a potential to come in that was a free kick taker. He was a goal scorer. He was a guy that was going to give us so much. And it just fell through. It just, I don't know, it just disappeared overnight. And that's something that I'd like to see maybe revisited, to bring in somebody like him. A centre forward, not really. It's not really something I'd be asking for. A right back, somebody again who's going to come in. You've got Tony Ralston in there, and I know people will probably slate Tony, but you know what you get with him. If Alistair Johnson's fit, Alistair Johnson plays 100% of the time. Of course he does. But Tony Ralston, when he comes in, gives you 110% every single game. He lives and bleeds Celtic, and that's something that you can't buy. That you can't teach it. It's something that you're either born with or you're not. So I'd like to see players in with quality, of course, but you still need to have that
Paddy,
person
I
understand
would
what it means.
just like to touch on the striker situation. So we said that we need one. We obviously wanted 3. I'm just playing devil's advocate just for conversations purposes, right? Maeda scored 5 goals this season so far.
Yeah.
Limited time, yes. No assists. It is what it is, all right? If you look at Kyogo, for example, as well, not quite firing on all cylinders, etc. Is it definitely not what we've expected from him in terms of his return as well, right? But Kyogo has 6 goals this season.
Yeah.
And 3 assists. Now, as we've said before, we're scoring all over the pitch, which is great. We've seen great numbers from Maeda. We've seen great numbers from Kuhn. But our strikers are always in that equation. They're always up there. And I'm not just thinking about the league. We always use the phrase, you can get away with it in the league. We're talking about Europe and moving on further. There's going to be games to be played in January in the Champions League and potentially another phase if we get through. Would that be enough for you to, on top of maybe looking at a guy like Bogus or something, to get in another striker, mate?
Yeah, listen, 100%. If we're going to be going forward at that stage, then yeah, 100%. You've got to bring these guys in because you need to have the depth. You need to have it, especially like you'd say, the amount of games that we're going to be playing. You're in every single cup. You're going to essentially be in 3 cups, aren't you? You've got the league, you've got the Scottish Cup, and then you're going to have the Champions League as well. It's a hard time for these players, and you do need that quality in there, especially European Champions League quality. That type of player. Whoever it was that commented before there, Soundex, whatever it was, had said about Rocco's dad saying that he wasn't quality for Celtic. Mate, go back and watch our interview with Rudy, please, and you will see what Rudy actually thinks Rocco is capable of, mate. And
well, I think to be fair to him, to kick into that, Paddy, sorry, I did see a point where he did do an interview prior to talking to ourselves, and I think he'd broadly spoken, said at a certain stage, I think it was more maybe around about the stage with Ange Postecoglou and stuff, he says, did he think that he was off the quality where he was going to break in to be a first teamer? The answer was no, and he was quite candid. He said that himself, but as you said, he said when other clubs were approaching Rocco, they were coming to him with essentially a route map of this is what we will do with you, and it was all about fitness, strength, conditioning, training, even stuff, like mindset and all that, amount of games, who you'll play. It was all structured, and I think what he was getting at was he ready with what he was being presented with? No, but had they put that wrap around on the player, then yes, he would have.
Yeah, and I fully think as well, you look at the young guys come on for Watford a few times, and I've seen some of his performances down there. He's thriving. He's another one of these guys that's went away for Celtic, and he's doing great. He's doing absolutely fantastic, and I think he's maybe one of these players that we're going to regret letting go. So, listen, we'll wait and see. He's one of the kind of players to keep an eye on. Would we say to Rudy, he's maybe one that maybe come back one day? That'd be an absolute excellent decision. So we'll wait and see.
Paddy, we'll bring it home, as we say. In terms of the game, it was a thrill ride from start to finish. 6 goals, fantastic performance. Of course, we got to see some laughs as well. You'll always have the Northern Lights. Gucci Gaffer going his backside. And of course, we also seen some prime Scottish football tin pottery as well. Today's attendance is 47,544 up the screen, all the zeros. Oops, get that down. They tried it again. All the zeros. so we got to see how you laugh at that kind of garbage as well. But just to kick on, final, Paddy, game against Rangers. Do you concern yourself with that? Do you feel that's taking care of itself?
Listen, like I said before, mate, they are not our opposition. They're our entertainment. We will sit here and we will laugh at their performances, at the state of their club, and at the fact that their deluded fans think that they've got anything on us.
Can I ask you a question just on that again? Just we've got to concern ourselves with it because it's the Glasgow Fishbowl and it's our next big cup final against them. Do you think they'll still have the same manager? Do you think they'll be in any better position? Being honest, not green tinted specs, from where they are now.
The financial
in a month's time, do you think Rangers will be any better than what we're seeing right now?
I don't think
that game becomes more challenging than we think it is right now.
I don't think the game becomes any more challenging. I don't think they're anywhere near us. And the situation that they're in financially, they've released their financial findings or whatever. And then we know that Clement's in a contract until, 28, I believe. And his background staff and stuff like that. I was talking to a young guy, Liam, today about it. And you're talking the best part of $6 million it's going to cost to get rid of just Clement. Now, that's not including his background staff, including Alex Ray and all of these other ones. Alex Ray will be back being a funeral director again. He'll be back doing whatever he was doing prior to getting the Rangers job.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy to think that they've got guys like that in about their club, but we don't concern ourselves with that.
We don't. But you know what? Their fans see this as well. They're so deluded that the staunch ones, the ones that will sit there and go, no, I'm Rangers up through and through, blah, blah. And they'll sit there and they talk absolute garbage and they fully believe that they'll come back and win this and do that. They'll do nothing. They'll do absolutely nothing. I'll tell you right now, we get them in the final, we'll cover them. My prediction in that game, as always,
4-0.
Will be 4-0. 4-0. And I will stick to it and I will die by that sword. Stick on and out, see what odds you get. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Paddy, before we go, wrapping it up, just to bring on here, I'll bring us up for Willie. He's obviously talking about Leipzig. He thinks it's a free hit midweek, regardless of how we think we're playing. Leipzig are several levels up from what we normally play. A point would be fantastic. As we say, we look at this, we look at Atalanta, 4 points with 3 games, a great performance at home. The first one, Dortmund, let's shelf it, it was what it was. Yeah. Atalanta, the bonus ball, the wee bonus point. We're looking at those 3 home games, Club Brugge, Young Boys of Bern, and of course Leipzig. Leipzig, I think I certainly looked at it and went, Leipzig, no bother, that's fine. Thinking of maybe the Leipzig of old, they are second in the Bundesliga, you've got to give them that. Very good team, very, very organised. What's your expectations on the game? Just to touch on that real quickly before we go. Well, listen, we'll be back. We'll come back on Monday, tomorrow. We'll do a show. We'll look at it, or Tuesday during the day. We'll look at it as a pre-match. But what's your expectations on that, Paddy? Obviously, we'll be full of positives off the back of that result there against Aberdeen. What do you expect? Are we going to go, we're at home, all attack, all guns blazing, or do we do what we've done and we find that middle ground again?
I think Celtic Park does what it does. We as fans will go there and we'll support our team and we'll thrive in that atmosphere. We'll pull the ball into the back of the net. Leipzig, like you say, they're sitting second. I don't know how they done tonight. Was it 2? I think they might have. Did they get beat off of Dortmund tonight? 2-1, was it? 3-1?
2-1 off Dortmund, I believe.
2-1.
Yep.
That's a big game for them as well. And they're coming into this off the back of a loss. We're coming into it off the back of a 6-0 win. Stuff like that goes in your favour. I'm not going to say we're going to go in there and we're going to gobble them 4-0, as much as I would absolutely love that. But
they sit 3 points. They sit 3 points off the drift from Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
On 20 points and they're 3 points ahead of Frankfurt in third. They have a goal difference of +10 after 9 games. So in the Champions League, they're goal scoring threat. Yeah. I think they maybe won't be laced with the ridiculous talents that Dortmund have got, despite where they are in the league. I'm not playing them down. I'm not being ignorant. We'll cover it. We'll cover their key men when we do the pre-show thing. But yeah, it's a different proposition, Paddy. I think that Celtic Park, the atmosphere, I think, bear in mind, we've had Leipzig there before, a different version of Leipzig, and we know what we're getting out of them. Very, very challenging. We said that remaining home games, I said 7 points to 9. So I say I would take the draw right now, but I would hope for a win.
Yeah. I'm on the other side, Steve. If you offer me a draw right now, I'd say, no, I'll play it out. I'd take the game against them. Especially, like I say, coming off a 6-0 gubbing of the team sitting second in the league. Henrik, I hope it is you, mate. Listen, the crowd will play a massive part, as they always do. We've spoke to people before, and they said that the crowd of this gift of being able to kind of sook the ball into the back of the net, they give you that wee bit of extra push. And trust me, the players are going to need it. When go in to that game full of confidence, absolutely buzzing, coming off of the back of that. And do you know what? I fully expect it to be the same squad pretty much that started against Aberdeen. I'm not liking that right now. That's not what I'm doing here. So please do not send that to the Leipzig manager. Listen, that's the team I would fully expect to start. And I would expect Celtic to play similarly to the way they played against Aberdeen. With that pressing forward, the high press, chasing the ball down, not giving the opposition a second on the ball. That's what I'm looking for. If we can do that, we'll get out of that game with a 2-1, probably 3-1 win.
Aye, I'll take that, Paddy. I'll take that all day long. But listen, it's been on. We are just about short of an hour and 20. So thanks to everybody that's stayed up late to join us for that. It was a fantastic. We really, really appreciate everybody tuning in. Just make sure, if you haven't done already, give us a wee bit of support. Give us a like. Give us a share. Of course, hit the subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon. Every time we go live, you'll get us. We'll be back. You will get your standard opposition and focus, profiling RB Leipzig. And of course, we'll do a wee pre-match, proper sit-down, wee chat like this, go through it. And of course, win, lose or draw, we'll be back to cover the result as it comes out. I'm hoping that it's a positive result. Full of positivity now, but get through it unscathed. No injuries, squad is rocking, 6 goals in the bag, 1 for a striker, 2 for our key wingers. Happy days, and we've got what looks to be a nice partnership at the back grown between Trusty and Carter Vickers. Bailly on fire, Johnson return to form. Paddy, positives all over the pitch, mate. Let's go for it, eh?
Listen, that's it, exactly. Players coming into their own at the right time. And we spoke about that come the end of last season. We're hitting form at the right time. And do you know what? That's what's happening now. We've had this run of form. We've had a few results like you say, Dortmund shelf that. That's gone. That was what it was. They'd have done that to anybody that night. This is what it is. We are playing the way we're playing. We're playing phenomenal football. And I'm confident going into this game. I really am.
Absolutely.
So, take the positives, take it forward. And, like Steve was about to say, as we always say on here,
take care of yourself and hail. We'll see you back soon. See you later. Bye-bye now.